She's the purple symbiote with the hair. We're talking about Leslie Caesarea and Gemma Shin, aka Agony. Hi, I'm Nanto, and in these videos, I take a character from Marvel Comics, I talk about their history, their power set, their personality, and I give you some reading recommendations. And this is all because this week, this character is being introduced into the collectible card game, Marvel Snap. And this is going to be a short one. This is one of the shallowest characters we've ever done. And a lot of this character's history is spent around other characters who we've already talked about, like Scream or Scorn. So really, we've got to figure out, what has Agony done different? So here's her story. Leslie Caesarea was a mercenary for the Life Foundation who was bonded with the purple symbiote and seemingly killed by Venom when he used the Chrono Accelerator weapon to kill all of the rest of the Life Foundation symbiotes. However, none of them actually died. The symbiotes were revived by the Life Foundation and started trying to do their own thing. Leslie and the rest of the Life Foundation symbiotes, led by Donna Diego, Scream, who we talked about in a previous video, kept reaching out to Eddie Brock, but he never wanted to work with them because he was scared they would turn into another Carnage. Eventually, things got worse, and Donna Diego killed most of the Life Foundation symbiotes. She got Leslie with the Sonic Blade. So the Life Foundation symbiotes, including Agony, survived the deaths of their host and were captured by the authorities and sent to the Vault, a prison for superhuman criminals. They were imprisoned and experimented on, they didn't have a great time, and then during a big global symbiote invasion, Venom and Eddie Brock sent out a big psychic shriek that wiped out many of the invading symbiotes, and the pain caused these captured Life Foundation symbiotes to break free. They merged into a single being and bonded with a guardsman named Scott Washington, becoming the Vigilante Hybrid. The whole hybrid thing didn't last long. Scott Washington was murdered by Eddie after like 10 issues. Brock was worried about something called the spawning, so he went and tried to kill as many symbiotes as he could. So then this new hybrid symbiote was captured by the army and separated back into its 4 original symbiotes, bringing Agony back to life. But because of how messed up this all was, the symbiotes were not really able to fully bond with their hosts, and were instead used as prosthetics for the Mercury team, a group tasked with eliminating Carnage. So this is the Carnage USA storyline that we talked about in the Scorn video. Carnage takes control of a town in Colorado. The Mercury team, Spider-Man, Agent Venom, Scorn, the Avengers are deployed to fight the Carnage-possessed townspeople. Everything goes worse when Carnage takes over some of the Avengers, and then Scorn is able to separate the Carnage and Agent Venom symbiotes from their people, and then the symbiotes just go mess up a zoo. So the battle gets completely out of hand. Mercury team leader Marcus Sims orders a firebombing, and the Carnage symbiotes were destroyed and Cassidy was captured. Agony and the other symbiotes were put back into containment. But this was not the end of Agony, because they were back in the King in Black event. She was part of Null's spiral-faced symbiote thrall, and then she played a pretty big part in the Extreme Carnage event. Agony's bonded to a new host, Gemma Shin. Agony was a member of Carnage's team. This is where we're going to see her only power that seems to be different from the other symbiote's powers. She can spit acid, so that's pretty cool. Otherwise, it seems like she has the normal symbiote power set. It's an interesting introduction to the new host. We see that Gemma and Agony work really well together to the point where people that Agony kills, they bring back home and mount their body parts in Gemma's apartment. In this book, she's working with Carnage and the other Life Foundation symbiotes, and Gemma is the communications director for the new mayor, whose son turns out to secretly be Carnage. They lose to Agent Anti-Venom, Toxin, and Silence, get captured by a bunch of guardsmen, and the next time we're going to see Agony is as part of the Thunderbolt story. Kingpin outlawed superheroes in New York, and Agony was included in the newly formed Thunderbolts unit, tasked with maintaining order and doing whatever Wilson Fisk wanted. At the end of the storyline, Luke Cage won the mayoral election, and Luke Cage's new Thunderbolts team, led by Hawkeye, captured Agony, until Daredevil broke her out of jail so she could become part of the Fist, a ninja clan Daredevil had created to counter the Hand. During her training with Elektra, Gemma learned to control the symbiote and even used it to save a brainwashed former member named Bullet. But their home base was attacked by the Stormwinds, a group of bad guys, it doesn't matter, and the Avengers who were trying to get Elektra. That meant Agony got arrested again. I would say as far as Agony-specific reading recommendations, first appearance, Venom Lethal Protector, Volume 1, Issue 4, by David Michelin, with art by Ron Lim, Sam De La Rosa, Art Milgram, Mike Javins, and Richard Starkings. Then, honestly, it seems like the next time Agony actually has a character is Extreme Carnage Agony, Volume 1, Issue 1. This is by Alyssa Wong, Frank Galen, Danilo Beyruth, Jim Campbell, and Corey Petit. This is like decades after she was introduced, but I do feel like a lot of the Agony storyline set her as a player amongst the Life Foundation symbiotes, especially since a lot of that time is spent as hybrid, which is just all of them smushed together. But this feels like a new version of Agony that has a personality. Then I would say another issue that gives Agony something to do is from Daredevil Volume 7, Issue 6. This is by Chip Zdarsky with art by Rafael De La Torre, Matthew Wilson, and Clayton Cowles. Not a ton of her here, but it does give her a little bit more characterization. And I'm not going to spoil it. Perhaps Agony appears in Venom: The Last Dance, although perhaps it's not exactly the version we're familiar with, and maybe, perhaps, again, maybe, who knows, it's just a purple symbiote. Perhaps. In Marvel Snap, Agony is a 1-cost 2-power card with the card text, after you play a card here, merge this with it. So, okay, I think we can do this in like a minute. It's pretty obvious what they're going for here. The way that the symbiotes, especially these Life Foundation symbiotes that weren't really big players, ended up becoming a part of other stories was, like, some of these Life Foundation symbiotes were like prosthetic arms and things like that. They weren't just like taking over a host. They were really just augmenting, giving someone some superpowers, making some soldier a little stronger. So that's what they're going for with Agony, and I think that's fine. I don't think this character has a very defined skill set when it comes to the comics, so I think giving them that ability makes sense. They function a lot like characters like Forge, who is another character who is upgrading you, so that makes sense. The Hulkbuster, another thing that's upgrading you. So honestly, I don't hate this here. So yeah, I honestly think that's it. And you know what? Very rare. This card has 0 variants. The Ryan Kennard, Eduardo Mello version of the card is fine, and then is the only one you will see until another one gets put in place. And this is part of the High Voltage event, which people did really like, and you get earn this card for free, which I think was great. I'm a little surprised there's not like a variant that goes along with it yet. I'm sure one will come out eventually. So that is Agony, real short one. Next video, this is the last one in this series. We're talking about Anti-Venom. This is going to be a fun one. There's a lot more to deal with him. And if you enjoy these videos, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. That's all I got. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.